Hey there, we're glad you're here. I'm Chris,
I'm Eric.
and this is the Sons of Sever YouTube channel where there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad gear. Today, we are going to be talking about an extremely versatile boot. This is a boot from Lems. It is their new Boulder Summit. Want to talk about Lems in general because they are an affiliate. So if you go and check down in the description, there will be a link there, and that will take you over to the Lems website where you can shop for their many variety of shoes. So not only do they have rugged hiking boots that look really, really fantastic, they also have extremely flexible, really good looking, comfortable zero drop shoes. Lots of styles, lots of sizes, lots of colors. If you go and shop around there for a little bit, I'm sure you'll find something that you like. But even if you don't, we get a little kickback, just full disclosure, for just you clicking on that link. So we'd appreciate you going and clicking on that link and looking around there. That helps out the channel a lot. Now, going forward, as far as specs goes, to knock those out, we have ourselves a 16 millimeter outsole here, which really isn't that much. If you take a nice close-up of one of these lugs, that lug from bottom to top is 4 millimeters, so times that by 4, and you have our stack height. There's also an insole that's about 4.5 millimeters that you can take out if you want to. I actually really like keeping that insole in here.
Same. I prefer to have the little extra cushion that it gives, and I feel like it gives it a lot of comfort.
But I do like the option. I appreciate that you can take them out, or if you need something thicker for some reason, you could theoretically throw another insole in here if you don't like the ones that they come with. The width is fantastic, as it will be with every barefoot style shoe, and I think one of the most important things is how thin and flexible it is, and yet protective as a hiking boot. And at the same time, we get that zero drop that everybody wants when it comes to minimalist footwear. So we want to talk about the boot in 3 main categories, and then we're going to give it a score out of 10 at the end. So those 3 categories are function, feel, and versatility. So I'm going to start out by talking to you about the function, and we can agree these things function fantastic. They are probably the best hiking boot that I've ever had. The waterproofing on these things is fantastic. It worked 100% for us throughout our testing of this boot. We took it on some pretty rough and wet hikes in the snow. You'll see plenty of B-roll of that in this video, and we had no issues with our feet getting wet.
So you got the canvas version, right? Got completely soaked in the snow. Your feet didn't get wet at all. I've got here the leather version of the boot as well. It's the same shoe, just a different material that they built it with. Same thing. My feet got, or the shoe rather, got completely soaked on that hike, and my feet were totally dry.
Which is saying a lot. When I looked at these things, when I first got them, when I unboxed them, they seemed so thin, and the canvas specifically seems very absorbent, for lack of a better word, and I was kind of worried that not only would these not keep my feet dry, but they would just get completely soaked. And we had no issues with them from start to finish on our hike. We went about 8 miles in about 3 foot deep snow almost the entire way, and we had no issues with the waterproofing. We also had no issues with slipping and sliding. We'll give you some good B-roll shots of this, but this is the outsole, the bottom of it, and they put in these really deep 4 millimeter lugs that are supposed to give you lots of grip and feel. The first Boulder boot that they came out with, they did not include any kind of super grippy bottom. They actually made this bottom first with their Outlander boot and then decided to integrate it into the Boulder because the Boulder was so popular. Now we get the best of both worlds. The last thing I'll talk about when it comes to function is how ridiculously flexible and wide they are. I have a really hard time with boots like Danner's, where it squeezes my foot and I've got that big drop, and of course by the end of a hike you're gonna have super sore feet. Some of you may expect that soreness just because you're going on a hike, but I can tell you, after 8 miles up and down a mountain in the snow with this guy, I was not significantly in any kind of discomfort or pain, had no blisters or no hot spots on my feet whatsoever. These guys are gonna be a game changer for you if you are really, really into hiking, and on top of that, they look fantastic.
I think that's really important to note as well, the whole blisters thing, because I know that's a big thing with hiking boots. Like, you get a new pair of hiking boots and people say, oh, break it in for about a week before you take it on your first hike or else you're going to get blisters. I got this shoe the night before we went on that hike. Literally. So I put it on, I walked around my house for 5 minutes, was like, okay, we're doing this hike tomorrow.
I was worried about his feet.
8 miles in the snow, soaking wet, and no blisters. So I think that's a big part of the feel, kind of what I wanted to go over, is they feel amazing. As far as our feet staying warm, like we mentioned, we went on a hike into the snow, and just wearing a pair of merino wool socks was plenty. I mean, I don't think they built these super insulated or anything like that, but if you have that good pair of socks on and you're moving, there was no issues. Even when we got to the summit of that peak, where it was freezing cold and the wind was blowing and we were stationary at that point, my feet still felt fine. So as far as the warmth goes, these do really well for a winter boot. I really enjoyed the stack height that they have. I know that when we talk about barefoot shoes, some people might think like, well, that's a little bit too thick. And I've had experiences with other minimalist shoes where I think the stack height is too little for a hiking boot. This is something that I'm going to be stepping over sharp rocks and, you know, tree roots and things like that. And I don't want to feel like my foot is going to get injured while I'm on that hike.
Right.
So I think Lems kind of hits that balance where it's like, these are flexible and they let my feet do what they need to, but they also protect them enough. Whereas with other zero drop hiking boots that I've had, I'm like, I don't feel quite as protected wearing that boot. So the zero drop, that's very important. It's good for my back, at least. That's a big reason why I started looking into minimalist footwear.
Same. Was
back pain that I had, and once I got rid of that heel, it all went away. I think that a big thing with the Boulder Summit is, you know, fans of Lems and fans of the Boulder Boot were wondering, like, will it feel the same as the original Boulder Boot? And I would say that it does. They took the Boulder Boot, they gave it some better traction, and it's basically the same. So I have a pair of just their black leather original waterproof Boulder boots. So you can see on these, you know, the traction on it is very different. These really aren't good for hiking or anything like that. I've taken them on a hike before and it wasn't the best experience, as much as I love them. But definitely, they took the Boulder boot and like the fans wanted, they gave them that better traction so that you could take them hiking now.
You would have been skiing up and down the mountains in those, for sure.
No chance.
Just from looking at the sole. So before we get into our rating of these boots, the last thing we want to talk about is versatility. It's a pretty short conversation for the most part because these things do everything well. And just to give you a good picture of what we mean by that, one day you could be hiking up an 8-mile trail up and down a mountain. And the next day, literally the day after that, you could wear these to church, which is exactly what both of us did.
Yep.
That weekend. We took these on that 8-mile hike.
I think it's worth mentioning that both of our wives have commented on how nice these boots look. With other barefoot shoes that I've had, my wife is like, oh, those are terrible. I don't want to see you wearing them. But with these ones, she was like, oh, those are nice. Like, you could wear those on a date. So that made me happy.
Absolutely. They cover a lot of ground, and that's something I'm going to look for in every product that I get, whether it's a shoe or a backpack or whatever it is, even an axe. I want that thing to do multiple things for me, not just one niche thing.
Yeah. And I love the idea of, like, we can go take this on an 8-mile hike, right, in the snow, be perfectly fine, and then if we needed to rush to dinner or something like that,
don't have to change shoes.
We don't have to change shoes. You can just go right to it.
So here at the end, we want to give you our rating for the boots. It's out of 10. So Eric, what would you give the Boulder Summit?
So I would give these a 9 out of 10.
Generous.
I think that they're amazing. I think that they function well. They feel great. They're very versatile. I knocked a point off really just because I was comparing them to some of other Lems shoes that we've tried out, like the Outlander. The Outlander feels a little bit more secure than the Boulder Boot does. And because of that, if all I was going to do on a certain day was go and do a technical hike, I'd probably pick the Outlander, just so I could have that security. But, you know, if I was going to go on a hike and then right after that I had a date that I needed to go on, I'd pick the Boulder Summit for sure, just because it's got the versatility factor to it. So it's not much of a thing, but I did feel like I needed to knock it down a point.
And I would say similar. I give the Boulder a 9 out of 10, and I would also give the Outlander a 9 out of 10, because what the Boulder is missing that the Outlander has is what makes the Outlander worse than the Boulder in some situations. I love that the Outlander has a rubberized front toe. This one is sturdy, but I don't think I could be kicking rocks all day in this and feel good by the end. The Outlander definitely is a little bit more sturdy at the front and the back, but it does not have very much formal appeal. It's a good looking boot, but it's not a boot you're going to want to wear to church and try to pass off as a church boot. So that is where I would give that differential. But overall, a fantastic offering from Lems. Guys, thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. If you are interested at all in any of the shoes that we talked about in this review, especially the Boulder Summit, then go ahead and check the link down in the description. That'll take you to the Lems website where you can shop around. Maybe you'll find that you really like the Outlander that we've been talking about, or maybe you'll find that the Boulder boot is the perfect boot that you've just been waiting to find.
And there's a few different places that you can find content from us. Obviously, we've got this channel here. I also have a channel called A Pilot's Life for Me. If you like the B-roll footage here, especially those drone shots, that's what that channel is going to focus on. I'll put up a video of the hikes that we go on. You can also see the hikes that we're going on Strava. If you click the links in the description, you'll be able to see where we're going and all the stats on those hikes.
Now I have another channel as well that is called Sever Shoots. If you're more into gun industry stuff, but still the outdoorsy feel, then you can head over there and subscribe to my channel, or find my Instagram at the same name, Sever Shoots. There's also an Instagram for this channel where we're going to be posting video and pictures and more day-to-day stuff about the products that we are currently working with before we actually start getting videos out to you. So we would appreciate your likes, subscribes, and follows in all of those areas. And as always, we will catch you in the mountains.